Hello, I'm Ibrahim Imam and welcome to this episode of the Neurology Lounge podcast titled 10 Reasons Why Your Tremor is Unlikely to be Caused by Parkinson's Disease. Parkinson's disease is a common neurological ailment that everyone dreads. And this is because almost everyone knows someone or the other who has suffered or is suffering with the disease. A slow, grinding illness, it evokes the dread of slowly progressive motor and cognitive impairments, and perhaps less the fear of imminent mortality. And the one thing almost everybody knows about Parkinson's disease is that it manifests with a tremor. It is therefore not surprising that every tremor, new or old, evokes the fear of Parkinson's disease. And this does not even take into account the fact that Parkinson's disease does not necessarily have to manifest with any tremor. And the fear of Parkinson's disease often also does not take into consideration the other countless, often less ominous, but occasionally more ominous, disorders that manifest with tremor. So, what are the features of tremor that indicate it is not likely to be caused by Parkinson's disease? Here is my countdown of the 10 reasons. The first, the tremor started suddenly. The tremor of Parkinson's disease is most unlikely to have a sudden definite onset. More likely, it will start intermittently and gradually become more noticeable. A sudden onset of tremor and of any other neurological disorder would usually suggest a stroke, and this needs to be checked out urgently. The second is the tremor started at a young age. Tremor in a child or teenager is most unlikely to be caused by Parkinson's disease, even though there is the rare juvenile Parkinson's disease. At this age, other neurodegenerative disorders apart from Parkinson's disease need to be considered. Third, the tremor is very long-standing. Now, the term long-standing is like the length of a piece of string. Difficult to define, but I will attempt in this case. I'm referring here to years of isolated tremor without any other symptom emerging. It is unlikely that a Parkinson's disease tremor will be present for such a long time without other signs of the disease manifesting. Fourth, there is a very strong family history of tremor. Whilst Parkinson's disease may be familial, this is rather rare, and someone in the family would probably already have been diagnosed with it before. Depending on the age of onset, a tremor on a background of a strong family history is more likely to be caused by other conditions. And the usual culprit in this case is a common type of tremor called essential tremor. Essential simply means doctors don't know what's causing it. Another important clue to essential tremor is that it may improve after a drink of alcohol. This is, however, not a license to drink, as the tremor often comes back with a vengeance after the effect of alcohol wears off. Fifth, the tremor is present only when performing tasks. This is one of the most critical features that determines the cause of a tremor. The tremor of Parkinson's disease is classically a resting tremor, present when doing nothing and resolving once the limb is put into use. There are, of course, exceptions, such as when Parkinson's disease has lasted a long time and a condition called re-emergent tremor manifest. An action or postural tremor is therefore a helpful clue pointing away from the diagnosis of Parkinson's disease and often towards, you guessed it right, essential tremor, that condition again. 6. The tremor involves both hands equally. This is another crucial evidence against Parkinson's disease, whose tremor tends to start on one side and remain worse on that side throughout the course of the illness. There's, however, a provisor, and this is if the tremor is present at rest. If a resting tremor is present equally in both hands, then one needs to consider a group of disorders called Parkinson's plus. This group includes such disorders as multiple system atrophy, progressive supranuclear palsy, dementia with Lewy bodies, and corticobasal degeneration. We will come across these nebulous disorders in a future dedicated podcast. The seventh is the tremor is associated with posturing of the neck or limbs. This is usually an easy clue for the neurologist to consider another mimic of Parkinson's disease called dystonic tremor. Dystonia is a term that encompasses a wide group of conditions that are united by a tendency to cause abnormal postures of the limbs or the body, and by an occasional tendency to be associated with a tremor. The abnormal posturing may be evident in many ways, such as a neck that consistently tends to turn to one side, or fingers that assume abnormal postures when the hand is extended out or when writing with a pen. 8. The tremor is associated with a concurrent medical disorder that can cause tremor. Yes, tremor is not always caused by primary disorders of the nervous system. Many medical disorders can manifest with tremor, and top here is an overactive thyroid called thyrotoxicosis or hyperthyroidism. But again, this is a tremor that is mainly on action and not a resting tremor. In any case, a thyroid function test will quickly resolve any lingering doubts. Similarly, countless medications are notorious for evoking tremor. In these cases, the tremor is usually on both sides and the limbs are usually rigid. 9. The sense of smell is preserved. Whilst not a perfect clue, the preservation of the sense of smell, especially in a tremor that is not present at rest, is a pointer against the diagnosis of Parkinson's disease. This is because Parkinson's disease often manifests with a number of non-motor symptoms, and these are there often years before the tremor manifests. And top amongst these is the impairment of the sense of smell. And we now come to the last reason, which is the tremor was brought on by stress. If the tremor emerged during times of stress, it is likely that it is what is called a functional tremor. This comes under the broad remit of functional neurological disorders, and it can be easily distinguished from Parkinson's disease by some of its characteristics. Functional tremor tends to be equally on both sides, unlike Parkinson's disease, and it varies in its manifestations from moment to moment, often very difficult to characterize. It is also worsened when it is being observed, and it can resolve by suggestion. If you found this podcast enlightening, do leave a comment or at least click on the like button. And if you want to learn a bit more about your nervous system, why not check out my book called Surfing the Brain? And if you want to dig into the details of neurological aspects of the tremors we've discussed today, you may want to check my website called Neuro Checklist. And to ensure you do not miss the next episode of the podcast, why not subscribe to the YouTube, Apple, or Spotify channels of the podcast? But for now, thank you very much for your time.